Hi everyone, it's Lisa with InkandInspirations.com. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome to this Card Making 101 video tutorial where I thought I would share my thought process and how I go through my papers and decide what colors and layers that I'm going to use to assemble my card together. So as you can see, I have this piece of designer paper that I've decided to use. And the colors here that we see are crumb cake, old olive, rich raspberry, basic black, and whisper white. So I'm going to use that to decide what base that I'm choosing, and I'm going to choose rich raspberry. Now initially I had put old olive behind it, and after looking at it, it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And I felt like the crumb cake would have been too much of a monochromatic look for that background. So I decided to go with a contrasting look, and that's old olive. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this to my card base. And I've chosen a 4 1/4 by 11 and scored it at 5 1/2. This piece of designer paper is 4 by 5 1/4, and you can see I have that rich raspberry border around it. Now, I knew I wanted to use circles here for the focal point. The sentiment was going to be on a little tag, and so then I had to decide, okay, what layer did I want next? First, I chose crumb cake. Okay, and I knew I wanted to put this doily over top. So now you can see how the crumb cake basically gets lost on that crumb cake background there. So then I tried rich raspberry, and that made all the difference right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and layer that up. And again, I'm using the colors that are in the designer paper, and the doily even matches through the whisper white. Neutrals you can use rather freely, but you know, I like to stay with what the designer paper is lending itself toward. Okay, so I have the whisper white on top the rich raspberry, and that's going to go over top. Now, before I adhere that down, I wait because I know I'm going to be looking at different papers. So I know I wanted a circle on top of this. So I brought this floral, and of course you can see that's too busy for this background and would totally take away from both of them. So I flipped it, and I knew I wanted some rich raspberry. So you can see the pattern that it's going here, rich raspberry, and then the designer paper, rich raspberry, and then the neutral. And then this is basically all rich raspberry. I'm going to punch a 2-inch circle punch and see how that layers right there. And I like it, okay? It's kind of alternating that rich raspberry with some basically neutral background and a neutral doily. Okay, so now that I've got that settled, I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Sometimes I feel guilty about covering up a beautiful floral, but when you see the end result, you know you've made the right decision, okay? And I go back and forth trying different papers, different colors, but really a good rule of thumb, if your card is looking like it's not coming together quite like you want, perhaps you might be using too many different colors, okay? I try most of the time to stick to 2 colors and a neutral, okay? And unless of course you're doing a rainbow or something like that, but on this one, this is definitely working for this particular card. Okay, so now I have a little tag that I've already stamped. I knew I wanted rich raspberry for the sentiment, but it needs something else. And if you look, I'm missing a color. I'm really missing 2. So I have basic black and old olive. So do I want an accent in basic black or do I want old olive? Well, the answer kind of was guided by the stamp set I was using, and it has this little leafy branch in it, and I thought that would be perfect to tie in the old olive. So let me get my old olive ink. And let's see, I want a piece of scratch paper here, just in case I go off the edge. And I'm going to stamp off, and so that leaves a little bit of ink on the stamp, and it won't be such a harsh look in case I go over some of the sentiment. Okay, so you can still see the old olive there. I'm going to try it again, stamp, and then I'm just going to come over and join those two stems at the bottom. And I went off the paper a little bit, but that's quite all right. And then I want one more, and I think I'm going to come up in this upper corner here and try not to get, oops, stamp off, Lisa. Try not to get too much over that L on Love What You Do. And I think that's going to work just right. So now I can start assembling, and then I've got my sentiment, my stamping on there. Once I get this together, I can start thinking about embellishments. So let me go ahead and apply this. And I could center it, but I like the look of off center. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now, as far as embellishments were concerned, I went and got some rich raspberry velvet ribbon. And then you can see I've tied this piece of twine, which is actually, I pulled it from a piece of my burlap ribbon, just pulled a string of it out and then cut it off and tied a little bow around it. And then I have a glue dot behind it. And I'm going to put that right here. So again, I'm sticking with the color scheme, the rich raspberry, the crumb cake ties in this background, okay? And then I thought maybe a little bit of bling. Well, I didn't think rhinestones would do. It would have been okay. I could have put one here and maybe here and here to give the 3, but instead I went with this embellishment kit, and this is where I got the tag. It is in the Share What You Love embellishment kit, comes in this box. And I'm going to use this self-adhesive little metal rose and put it right there in the middle of those 2 leafy stems. So I'm going to pull off the paper backing and just adhere that like that. And now I can go ahead and apply my circle, my scallop circle, and the whole main image here to the front of the card. I'm trying to get it pretty centered, and so the grid paper helps with that, as long as you keep your card straight. Okay, all right, so that's just my process and how I go about deciding colors of layers and inks on my handmade cards. It's certainly not a hard and fast rule. Everyone has different taste. Do what's pleasing to your eye, okay? This is just one thought process that makes it easy. Go from the designer paper and stick to the colors in there and then build your way up. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Please visit my website at inkandinspirations.com, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.